The Velith Dominion had ruled the stars. For 12,000 years, they had conquered 347 species across 3 galactic arms. Their method was simple and cruel: find young civilizations before they could grow strong, destroy their cities, break their will, take their resources, move on to the next dot. They called this process pruning, like cutting weeds before they could spread. High Commander Vexthril sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Eternal Dominion. His gray skin reflected the blue light of the tactical displays. His eyes scanned the data streaming across the screens. A new target had been identified, a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star at the edge of the galaxy. Tell me about this world, he said to his intelligence officer. They call it Earth, Commander. Population of 8 billion. They have primitive nuclear technology, basic space travel limited to their own moon. They broadcast radio signals constantly. Music, entertainment, news. They do not know we are listening. Vext made a sound of amusement. Another easy harvest. How long until we arrive? 40 rotations, Commander. Prepare the standard subjugation fleet. 40 warships should be enough for primitives like these. The officer hesitated. Commander, our analysts have noticed something unusual about this species. Unusual. Their broadcasts contain many references to war. Their history appears to be filled with conflict. They have fought each other constantly for thousands of years. Vexther waved his hand dismissively. All primitive species fight among themselves. It means nothing. When they see our power, they will submit like all the others. They always do. The Velith fleet traveled through folded space, covering distances that would take human ships thousands of years. They emerged near the edge of the solar system and began their approach. No need for stealth, no need for caution. The humans had nothing that could threaten them. On Earth it was a Tuesday morning. People went to work. Children went to school. Farmers worked their fields. Lovers held hands in parks. 8 billion souls lived there. Ordinary lives, unaware that death was falling from the sky. The first strikes hit without warning. New York vanished under a column of white fire. Then Beijing, then London, Moscow, Mumbai, Cairo. 12 major cities erased in the first 60 seconds. The shock waves killed millions more. Fires spread across continents. The sky turned black with smoke and ash. 2 billion human beings died in the first hour. Vexthril watched the destruction with satisfaction. Open communication channels broadcast the standard surrender terms. The message went out in every human language. The Velith had studied decades of human broadcasts. They knew how to speak to these creatures. People of Earth, your cities have been destroyed. Your military forces are meaningless. Against our power, you have one rotation of your planet to surrender unconditionally. All surviving humans will be processed for labor allocation. Resistance will result in complete extinction. This is not a negotiation. This is your only chance for survival. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, an emergency bunker activated. It had been built during the Cold War to survive nuclear attack. Now it served a different purpose. World leaders gathered via secure connections. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists, anyone who had survived the initial strike and could reach a communication terminal. Admiral Chun Win stood before the assembled screens. She was 62 years old. Her hair was gray. Her eyes were hard. She had lost her entire family in the Beijing strike. We have received the enemy's terms, she said. Her voice was steady despite everything. They want our surrender. The President of the United States spoke. First, his face was pale. What choice do we have? They destroyed 12 cities in seconds. We cannot fight this. I disagree. Chun's voice cut through the panic. Surrender means slavery. They made that clear. Labor allocation. We become tools for their empire, our children, our grandchildren forever. But we cannot win. Another leader protested. Their technology is too advanced. Chun nodded slowly. Their technology is advanced, but I have studied the attack patterns. I have analyzed what little data we could gather. They are overconfident. They have never faced true resistance. They expect us to break like all the others. They expect us to break liars, and if we fight and lose, then we die free. But I do not intend to lose. She pulled up a display. We have nuclear weapons. Thousands of them. We have armies. We have scientists and engineers who have spent their lives solving impossible problems. And we have something they do not expect. What is that? Rage. Chun's eyes burned with cold fire. They killed 2 billion of us. 2 billion. They think this will make us afraid. They do not understand us at all. This will make us united. This will make us dangerous. The room fell silent. Every leader looked at the screens. They saw the ruins of their cities. They saw the casualty reports still climbing. They thought of their own families, their own people, their own futures under alien chains. Thought the Prime Minister of India spoke next. I stand with Admiral Chun. We fight one by one. The others joined. Russia, China, Brazil, Japan, Germany, France, Australia. Nations that had been rivals for centuries. Nations that had fought each other in terrible wars. Now they stood together against a common enemy. For the first time in human history, a vote in the United Nations was unanimous. Total war. Chunwin became the supreme commander of Earth's unified defense force. Every military on the planet placed itself under her command. Every factory began producing weapons. Every scientist turned their mind to one question: how do we kill the enemy? Developath expected surrender within one rotation. Instead, they received a different message. Chun's face appeared on every screen. Her voice was broadcast on every frequency. This is Admiral Chun Wayan of the Terran Defense Force. You have made a terrible mistake coming to our world. You think you know what we are. You have watched our broadcasts. You have seen our wars, but you have not understood what you were seeing. She paused. Her eyes seemed to look directly at High Commander Vexthril. You saw us fighting each other and thought weak, divided. You did not realize that you were watching practice. We have been perfecting the art of war for 10,000 years. We have turned killing into a science. We have made destruction into poetry, and now we will show you why. Nothing on our planet ever remained the apex predator for long. You will not receive our surrender. You will receive our answer, and when we are finished, the universe will remember what happened to those who threatened Earth. Transmission ended. In his command chair, Vexter felt something he had not felt in centuries, a small cold feeling in his stomach. The humans called it fear. He dismissed it immediately. Primitive species always made bold claims before they fell. This time would be no different. He was very, very Wrong. 3 weeks after the initial attack, the Vel ground forces arrived. They expected to find a broken species ready for processing. Instead, they found hell waiting for them. The first landing party touched down outside the ruins of Chicago. 500 Veli soldiers and advanced combat armor, energy weapons that could cut through steel, personal shields that made them nearly invincible to human bullets. They died within 4 hours. Humans had spent those 3 weeks learning. They had recovered Velith bodies from crashed scout ships. They had studied the alien technology. They had found the weaknesses. The shields could stop bullets, yes, but they could not stop fire. They could not stop acid. They could not stop the simple brutality of explosives packed with scrap metal and nails. Sergeant Maria Santos led the resistance cell that destroyed the Chicago landing party. She was 28 years old. Before the invasion, she had been an elementary school teacher. Now she was something else entirely. The shields have a frequency, she explained to her fighters. They pulse. There is a gap 1/10 of a second every 3 seconds. Time your shots. The humans have learned this by throwing themselves at the enemy and dying, learning from each death, passing information through hidden networks, getting better with every battle. Dohai, Commander Vexter watched the reports with growing frustration. How is this possible? They are primitives. His tactical officer had no good answer. They adapt faster than our models predicted. Every time we develop a counter tactic, they develop a counter tactic. They are learning our technology at an impossible rate. Then we will simply destroy more of their cities, break their will. Commander, we have destroyed 47 cities. Their will does not appear to be breaking. If anything, they fight harder with each attack. This was something the Velith had never encountered. Other species lost hope when their cities burned. They begged for mercy. They accepted slavery to stop the pain. Humans did the opposite. Every destroyed city became a rallying cry. Every death became motivation for revenge. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked without sleep. She was a physicist. Before the invasion, she had studied theoretical faster than light travel. Now she studied captured Velith engines with desperate focus. Her team had managed to recover an intact fighter from a crash site in Canada. The pilot had been killed on impact, but the ship remained mostly functional for 6 weeks. They had torn it apart piece by piece, learning its secrets. I understand it now, Tanaka announced to Admiral Chun during a secure video call. Their FTL drive works by folding space. It leaves a quantum signature, a trail. Chum leaned forward. A trail that leads where? Everywhere they have been, including their home world. For a long moment, Chun was silent. Then she smiled. It was not a warm smile. Can we build our own drive? Not from scratch, but we can modify theirs. Give us 6 months. You have 3 across the planet. Humanity worked with single-minded focus. Factories that once made cars now made weapons. Laboratories that once studied medicine now studied alien biology, searching for weaknesses. Universities became training grounds for soldiers, and the resistance grew stronger every day. The Velith sent more troops. The humans killed them. The Velith bombed more cities. The humans dispersed into the wilderness, into bunkers, into tunnels. They could not be found. They could not be stopped. Every Velith patrol that entered human territory simply vanished. General Morrison, a grizzled veteran of 3 human wars, led the guerrilla operations. He had studied every conflict in human history. Now he applied those lessons against an alien enemy. The Vietnamese beat the Americans by refusing to fight. On American terms, he told his commanders, the Afghans beat the Soviets the same way. We will not give the Velith the war they want. We will give them the war they fear. His tactics were brutal: poison the water supplies near Velith bases, booby-trap the bodies of fallen aliens so rescue teams would die, use human prisoners as bait, knowing the Velith would try to capture them for information, then detonate the explosives hidden inside the prisoners' clothes. The humans volunteered for these suicide missions. There was no shortage of volunteers. Vexthro began to lose sleep. He had conquered dozens of worlds. He had broken countless species. But these humans were different. They did not fight like a species trying to survive. They fought like a species trying to inflict maximum pain, regardless of the cost to themselves. Why do they not surrender? He demanded of his advisors. We have killed 4 billion of them now, half their population. Any rational species would surrender. Perhaps they are not rational. Commander, 3 months passed. Dr. Tanaka delivered on her promise. The first human FTL drive was completed. It was ugly. It was dangerous. It had a 40% chance of killing everyone aboard during a jump. The humans used it anyway. Admiral Chun stood in the shipyard, carved beneath the Nevada desert. Before her set the first interstellar warship ever built by human hands. It was constructed from salvaged Velith technology and human engineering. It bristled with weapons, nuclear missiles, kinetic impactors, chemical weapons, biological weapons, every terrible thing humanity had ever invented to kill itself, now pointed outward. They named it, remember, Chicago. We have the coordinates of their home world, Chun announced to the assembled crew. We know the route their fleet took to reach us. We can follow it back. Young officer raised his hand. Admiral, we only have 1 ship. They have thousands. We will build more, but we will not wait while we build our fleet. This ship will begin the next phase of our response. What is the next phase? Chen's eyes were cold and hard. We do not simply defend our home. We take the war to theirs. We make them feel what we felt. We make them understand that attacking Earth was the worst mistake their species ever made. The remember, Chicago launched 1 week later. It carried a crew of 300 volunteers. Every single one had lost family in the Velith attacks. Every single one had signed a document accepting that they would probably die. None of them cared. Died as the ship folded space and vanished from the solar system. Chun turned to her staff. Begin construction of the next 100 ships. We have much work to do. On the Velith home world, life continued as normal. The citizens knew their fleet was conquering another primitive species somewhere far away. They did not worry. The Dominion always won. It had been this way for 12,000 years. They had no idea what was coming. For them, the Velith home world had not seen war in 8,000 years. Their orbital defense stations were ancient things, more ceremonial than functional. Their ground forces were police officers who had never faced a real enemy. Their civilians had grown soft in the comfort of absolute safety. When remember, Chicago emerged from folded space at the edge of their system, the Vel detected it immediately, a single ship small by their standards, they almost laughed. It appears the primitives have learned to travel between stars, the orbital defense commander remarked. Shall we destroy them? No, capture them. I want to know how they built that ship. 20 Valith interceptors launched toward the human vessel. They moved with casual confidence, one primitive ship against 20 of their finest fighters. The outcome was certain. The Remember Chicago broadcast a single message as the interceptors approached. It was a list, names scrolling across every frequency. The names of the 12 cities destroyed in the first minute of the attack: Chicago, New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Mumbai. The list continued. Every city, every name that could be recovered. Millions of names of the dead. Velith interceptors received this transmission and felt a strange unease. They pushed the feeling aside and continued their approach. Captain James Wright sat in the command chair of the Remember Chicago. He was 45 years old. His wife and 3 children had lived in New York. Now they were atoms scattered in the wind. They think we came here to surrender, he said quietly. They think we came here to negotiate. His weapons. Officer looked at him. What do we do? Captain, we teach them what we came here to do. The Remember Chicago had been built for one purpose, not to win battles through superior technology. The humans knew they could not match Velith weapons. Instead, the ship carried something else, something the Velith had never faced: human creativity in causing destruction. The first missiles launched from the human ship were not aimed at the interceptors. They were aimed at empty space nearby. The Velith pilots watched in confusion as the missiles detonated harmlessly. Docked, then they understood the missiles had been filled with billions of tiny metal fragments, ball bearings, screws, nails, razor blades, simple things that required no advanced technology. The explosion scattered this debris across the path of the incoming fighters at incredible velocity. Veli's shields could stop energy weapons. They could stop bullets. They could not stop a cloud of shrapnel moving at 30 kilometers per second. The debris punched through shields, through armor, through pilots. 15 interceptors died in seconds. The remaining 5 broke off their attack. They had never experienced anything like this. Their training had not prepared them for an enemy that fought like this. The Remember Chicago did not pursue them. It had a different target. Helm, take us toward their primary food production satellite. Captain Wright ordered. Weapons prepare. The chemical payload, the Velith home world, depended on orbital food production. Giant stations that grew crops in artificial environments, clean and efficient, completely undefended. The first station died quietly. Single missile penetrated its hull and released a biological agent. Within hours, every plant on the station was dead. The agent spread to the water recycling systems, then to the air processors. The station became a tomb. The Remember Chicago hit 7 more stations before the Veli's fleet could respond. By then, 20% of the planet's food production had been destroyed. This is insane, the Velith High Council screamed at their military commanders. One ship, one primitive ship. How is this possible? But the humans were just beginning. Over the following weeks, more human ships arrived, ugly things cobbled together from stolen technology and human engineering. Each one carried different horrors, biological weapons that targeted Vel biology specifically, chemicals that burned through their building materials, viruses that corrupted their computer systems. The humans did not try to engage the Vel fleet directly. They knew they would lose that fight. Instead, they attacked everything else: power stations, communication satellites, water purification plants, medical facilities. They made the Vel feel exactly what Earth had felt in those first terrible hours: helplessness, terror, the knowledge that death could come from anywhere at any time. Admiral Chun arrived with the main fleet 3 months later, 37 ships, each one named after a destroyed Earth city. Remember London, remember Moscow, remember Mumbai. The name scrolled across Valia's screens like a curse. High Commander Vex THR received orders to return and defend the home world. He had been so close to breaking Earth. Just a little more pressure and the humans would surely surrender. Now he had to abandon that campaign. They forced us to retreat, he realized with growing horror. These primitives have forced the Dominion to retreat. The battle for the Veli system lasted 2 weeks. The humans lost 18 ships. They killed everything they touched. When the Velith High Council finally transmitted their surrender, they expected the war to end. They offered territory, resources, technology, everything the humans could want. Admiral Chun's response was broadcast across every channel: you did not offer Earth a chance to surrender. You did not negotiate. You simply killed 2 billion people and demanded we become your slaves. Now you ask for mercy. The transmission paused. Every Vela citizen watched. Every Velith leader held their breath. We do not offer mercy to those who showed us none. But we are not monsters like you. We will not commit genocide. Instead, we will make an example. The systematic dismantling of Veli civilization took 3 months, not destruction for its own sake, something more calculated. Every piece of technology that could enable space travel was removed. Every factory that could build weapons was demolished. Every scientific database was erased. The Velas were pushed back to a pre-industrial state. They would survive. They would rebuild slowly over centuries, but they would never threaten anyone again. Let them live, Chun told her commanders. Let them remember. Let them tell the story of what happens when you attack Earth, because this message is not for them. It is for everyone else who might be watching. When the human fleet finally departed the Vela system, they left behind a single automated station. It broadcast one message on eternal repeat in every known galactic language: this world attacked Earth without provocation. This is what remains. Let all who hear this message understand. Humanity remembers. Humanity responds. Choose your actions carefully. The cosmos was listening. The galactic community had watched develop Dominion for 12,000 years. They had seen countless species fall before the conquering fleet. Some had pied the victims, some had secretly cheered, many had simply been grateful. They were too far away or too useful to be targeted. Now they watched something unprecedented unfold. The Kree collective received detailed intelligence reports from their spy drones hidden in the Vela system. They had been planning their own expansion into human space. Earth seemed like an easy target, rich in resources, no significant defenses. The perfect addition to their empire. Collective leader Zyth reviewed the footage of the Velith home world, the burning food stations, the crumbling infrastructure, the once proud cities, reduced to darkness and everywhere. Human ships moving with cold efficiency. Cancel the invasion plans, Zyth ordered. Immediately, leader, we have invested significant resources, cancel them now. And erase all records that such plans ever existed. The more Federation had similar reactions. They had scouts in human space carefully mapping population centers and military installations. When the reports from the Veli system arrived, the Federation Council met in emergency session. These humans defeated the Vel in less than 2 years. One counselor noted the Velith had conquered 347 species. The humans are their first loss. Perhaps we could ally with the humans, use their aggression against our enemies. The eldest counselor shook his head slowly. Did you watch the footage? Did you see what they did? This species does not make alliances. They make examples. I suggest we recall all scouts immediately and establish no contact of any kind. The Federation agreed unanimously, but the humans were not finished sending their message. Admiral Chun understood that defeating the Velith was only the first step. The galaxy was vast. Countless species lurked in the darkness between stars. Some would see Earth victory as inspiration. Others would see it as a threat to be eliminated before humanity grew stronger. We need to send a message that reaches everyone, she told her advisors, a message that cannot be misunderstood. The solution came from an unlikely source. A young communications officer named David Park had an idea. The Velith had the largest communication network in this region of space. Thousands of relay stations. If we capture their arrays, we could broadcast to hundreds of worlds simultaneously. Chun nodded slowly. And what exactly would we broadcast? Park hesitated. The truth about us, about what we are, about what we can do. The message was assembled over the following month. It was not a threat. It was not a demand. It was something far more disturbing. A documentary. The broadcast began with Earth's history. Ancient wars, the Roman legions crushing their enemies, the Mongol hordes sweeping across continents, the systematic brutality of colonial empires, then the modern era. Footage from the First World War, trenches filled with corpses, poison gas drifting across battlefields, tanks crushing soldiers into mud. Then the Second World War, cities burning under carpet, bombing the concentration camps, the atomic bombs falling on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, mushroom clouds rising into the sky, shadows of vaporized people burned into concrete. The documentary continued. Without commentary, just images, just evidence. Vietnam, Korea, Rwanda, Syria. Every terrible thing humans had done to each other across centuries of conflict. The sheer scale of it, the creativity of the destruction, the willingness to sacrifice millions for abstract goals. Then the documentary shifted to recent events. The Velith attack on Earth, 2 billion dead in the first hour. The desperate early resistance. The gradual counterattack. The burning of the Velith home world. All of it presented with cold factual precision. The broadcast ended with a single statement translated into every known galactic language. We did this to ourselves for 10,000 years. we did this. To Neville in 18 months, we are now aware that we are not alone in the universe, we are now united as one. Species, we are now watching, we do not seek war, we do not seek conquest, we seek only to exist in peace with our neighbors among the stars, but understand this clearly, we remember every wrong done to us, we respond to every threat without mercy. The choice of how to interact with humanity belongs to you. Choose peace. We have the message spread across the galaxy like a shockwave on the ancient world of the thrill. Philosophers debated its meaning. For years, they are warning us. Some argued they are showing us their teeth, so we will not test their bite. No. Others replied, they are showing us their soul. They are saying we know what we are, we know what we can do. We choose not to, but we will if we must. The Watcher, an artificial intelligence that had observed 10,000 species rise and fall over millions of years, updated its records. Species designation 7,422,819. Common name human. Planet of origin Earth. Status active. Classification revised from minor primitive to existential threat. Recommended action for all species: avoidance. Do not engage, do not provoke, do not provide any reason for hostile response. In the following years, strange things happened. Trade negotiations that had stalled for decades suddenly resolved. Border disputes that had simmered for centuries were quietly settled. Species that had been enemies for generations found reasons to cooperate. No one wanted to be the next. Example, the Vel home world remained visible to anyone with a telescope. Once great civilization reduced to shadows of its former glory, a permanent reminder of what happened when you threatened the wrong species. Some younger species, those who had never known the galaxy before humans, asked their elders about the quiet peace that seemed to have descended across known space. The elders looked up at the stars and remembered the documentary. They remembered the atomic bombs, the gas chambers, the endless wars. They remembered that humans had done these things to their own kind. There are some creatures you do not disturb, the elders would say. There are some sleeping giants you pray never wake. The humans are such a creature. They have given us peace. Be grateful, be quiet, and never, ever give them a reason to remember your name. Humanity had sent its message. Cosmos had received it. 50 years had passed since the burning of the Velth home world. Earth had healed. Where cities had once stood as tombs, new cities rose. Parks and memorials covered the scars of the bombardment. Children played in gardens that had been built over the ruins. Life continued as it always did, but nothing was the same as before. The Terran Commonwealth stretched across 17 star systems. Human colonies dotted distant worlds. Trade ships carried goods between planets. Scientists explored the mysteries of the universe. Artists created new forms of beauty inspired by alien cultures. Humanity had not become conquerors. They had not repeated the mistakes of the Velith. Instead, they had become something more complex: settlers, explorers, traders, and always watchers. Ambassador Priya Sharma walked through the corridors of the council station. She was 73 years old. Gray hair, sharp eyes. She had been born 3 years after the invasion ended. Her entire life had been shaped by what the previous generation had done. The Council of 11 waited in their chamber. Ancient beings from ancient species Some of them were millions of years old. They had watched empires rise and fall, like waves on a beach. They had seen the birth of stars and the death of civilizations, and they had invited humanity to speak with them. The chamber was vast and dark. The council members floated in spheres of specialized atmosphere. Some had forms that human eyes could barely comprehend. Others looked almost familiar. All of them radiated a sense of profound age and wisdom. "Welcome, Ambassador Sharma," the eldest being said. Its form shifted like smoke in water. "We've waited many of your years for this meeting." Shamba bowed respectfully. "The Terran Commonwealth is honored by your invitation. We have observed your species with great interest since your emergence into the wider galaxy. We have questions. I will answer what I can." The eldest being seemed to study her for a long moment. "We have seen aggressive species before. Many times we have seen survivors, species that endured great tragedy and emerged stronger, but never have we seen both qualities combined in such intensity." "What are you?" Sharma considered the question carefully. She thought of her grandmother who had survived the Mumbai strike, her grandfather who had fought in the resistance, her parents who had helped rebuild the world from ashes. She thought of all the generations before, all the wars, all the pain, all the terrible things humans had done to each other. "We are what happens when a species' greatest enemy is itself for a 100,000 years. She finally said, "We did not evolve to fight the universe. We evolved to fight each other. We developed weapons to kill our brothers. We built armies to destroy our neighbors. We created technologies of mass death because we could not stop fighting ourselves." She paused. Council waited in absolute silence. When the Velith came, they expected us to be weak, divided. They expected us to fear them more than we feared each other. They were wrong. For the first time in our history, we had an enemy that was not ourselves, and we turned every weapon, every tactic, every dark impulse that we had developed over millennia outward. Everything else was just easier. She concluded simply. After spending 10,000 years trying to destroy ourselves, destroying someone else required almost no effort at all. The council members exchanged looks that Sharma could not interpret. Finally, another being spoke. Its form was crystalline, light refracting through its body. "We have noted that your species has not expanded aggressively. Since the Velith conflict, you have not conquered, you have not enslaved, you have established your presence and then stopped. Why? Because we remember what we are." Sharma replied. "We remember the atomic bombs, the concentration camps, the genocides. We know the monster that lives inside us. We choose every day not to let it out. The galaxy's peace is not our gift to you, it is our gift to ourselves. A chance to become something better than we were. And the Velith, you left them alive. We made them an example. Warning, but we did not commit genocide. We could have, we wanted to, but we chose not to." "Why?" Sharma's eyes hardened slightly. "Because becoming what they were would have been the ultimate defeat. They attacked us because they were monsters. If we had exterminated them, we would have become monsters too. We chose to prove that we could be something else, something that could destroy absolutely, but chose not to." The eldest being made a sound that might have been laughter or might have been something else entirely. "You are a fascinating species, humans. You contain within yourselves the capacity for the greatest cruelty we have ever observed, and also the capacity for genuine restraint. This combination is unique. We are still learning what we want to be, Sharma admitted. Every generation faces the same choice. The darkness inside us never goes away. We simply choose again and again not to give into it. The council deliberated for several hours. Sharma waited patiently. She knew that whatever decision they made would shape humanity's relationship with the elder species for centuries to come. Finally, the eldest being spoke again. We will not interfere with your species. We will not attempt to contain you or control you, but we ask one thing. Remember what you told us today. Teach your children what you are. Never forget the capacity for darkness within you. Because if you forget, if you lose your awareness of your own nature, we will become the Valith. Sharma finished. No, we will never forget. On Earth, in the great memorial plaza where 2 billion names were carved in stone, children learned history. They learned about the burning days. They learned about the counterattack. They learned about what their ancestors had done to the Valit. They also learned why their ancestors had stopped. We could have killed them. All the teachers explained. We had the power, we had the anger, but we chose mercy, not because they deserved it, but because we wanted to remain human. In whispered conversations across 1,000 worlds, species that had never met humans directly passed down warnings to their young. There is a species from a small blue world. They would say they are friendly, they trade fairly, they explore peacefully, but do not threaten them, do not hurt them, do not give them a reason to remember your name. Why? The young ones would ask. Because they spent 100,000 years learning to kill each other. They are very, very good at it. The galaxy is quiet now. They made it quiet. Be grateful for the peace and never ever test them. Above the Velith home world, the monitoring station continued its endless watch. The Velith had rebuilt slowly. They had villages, now farms, simple tools. In another 1,000 years, they might rediscover electricity. In 10,000, they might return to space. The humans did not stop them. The lesson had been taught. The example had been made. And every night, on every world where intelligent beings looked up at the stars, the same thought echoed in countless minds. The humans are watching. The humans remember. Let them dream their peaceful dreams. Because when they wake angry, even the stars hold their breath. The cosmos had never been quieter. And deep in their hearts, every species understood why some sleeping giants should never be disturbed.